Somebody got a haircut. So just wanted to thank Dario, Petra, and the whole Next team for hosting a fantastic event and giving me this opportunity to speak in front of you today. IQVIA recently released a report saying that on average, over the past 5.5 years, there are over 24 molecules that are facing a shortage. Additionally, supply shortages within pharma, like other industries, have been exacerbated just due to overall supply challenges dating back to COVID. And lastly, if you're an organization such as whom I work for, Novo Nordisk, you have the blessing of serving more patients than we ever had and have in our company's history, but yet we are facing an absolutely unprecedented demand. So here I am to talk about how to change your team's engagement strategy and content mix in times of limited supply. And just a brief disclaimer that this is my professional opinion and might not necessarily reflect that of my company's. So just to introduce myself quickly, I'm Brian Shroyer. I've spent about the past 17 years in digital marketing and digital transformation roles, typically in global or EMEA-based positions. I've only been in pharma for 3.5 years, so I'm kind of a newbie. I've been fortunate to spend the past 2.5 years at Novo Nordisk, basically being their omnichannel lead and now their content excellence lead in region Northwest Europe, which is over our top 7 and at times 15 European markets. And my prior experience actually comes from real estate. I was originally a real estate agent in the US. That's when I got into digital transformation, when the real estate market crashed in 2007. That was a fun time. And I had a long stint in global digital marketing, building out those capabilities in the software industry. So, this is Carl. And this is Carl's brand strategy. Carl has spent the past few months, day and night, working on his 2024 brand strategy. And unfortunately, Carl is not having a good day right now. Carl just got off a call notifying him that his product is going to be out of stock for the next 10 months. Basically making this worthless. I'll get that later. So, what is Carl going to do? Okay? So my hope is that over the next 16-ish minutes, that I can help Carl and other individuals in the audience who might be facing a situation like this know how to respond and how to react to such a situation. How can you support existing patients at a time as critical as this? How can you keep HCPs informed? And if you're a traditional brand manager like Carl, what are you going to do all day when you're so used to promoting product? And if you're also in the front line, what are you going to do? So let's talk about that. So it's not a moment to freeze, it's a moment to act. The first thing you need to do is you're going to need to spring into action and develop an immediate response engagement plan. That's going to require, for many of us, a shift in mindset and a shift in operations. You're going to need to move away from a brand view, and you're going to need to form a customer squad around either HCP specialty or segment. You're going to want to align your engagement plans across all of your teams that are relevant, whether that's commercial, medical, market access, medical affairs, corporate communications, etc. And what you're looking to do here is to eliminate overlapping communications and engagements. I think we had this example the other day of MSL walking in and saying hi to a rep that's walking in, and then the CEO is visiting the next day. So we don't want that to happen. We want to align our engagement strategies. Additionally, we want to speak with one consistent voice on our supply situation. And lastly, if you don't have this already, sorry, I'm a lefty, I got to go back over here. If you don't have this already, you want to get a pulse on the situation, on your customers. So develop feedback loops both with your frontline and your analytics teams. Just to level set, let's talk about what the 3 supply scenarios are. The first one, supply is in full stock, it's business as usual. The second would be limited supply, and your focus here needs to be on supporting existing patients. Then, when the time is right, you need to balance your promotional activities with the supply that is available. What you do not want to do is over-promise and under-deliver. And the worst situation, which unfortunately Carl finds himself in today, is a full stockout. You have no product to promote, no medicine to bring to the market, in Carl's example, for 10 months. You immediately need to stop all demand-generating activity, and you, your team, and your entire organization need to focus 100% of your efforts on supporting existing patients and HCPs. Carl needs to understand HCPs are going to have a lot of questions, and they're going to have them right now. So you need to develop FAQs, both for your frontline and your digital channels. And it's important in your FAQs that you're transparent. You have open and upfront transparent communication about your current supply status and situation. You discuss treatment options and how you're going to support existing patients, whether or not that involves your company's products or not. You need to put the patients first. And also explain your company's response and efforts to remedy the situation. You then need to quickly mobilize the front line and your digital channels. So with the front line, get them into action with face-to-face or remote engagements. You also need to support your front line with coaching, because the types of conversations that they're going to be having are going to be a little bit more difficult than what they're used to. So you need to coach your reps, but also from an employee wellness perspective, you need to be there for them for the psychological load that they will face. And again, utilize your digital channels if allowed in your market. You want to use something like your HCP portal to keep up to date on supply information. And most importantly, time is of the essence. You want to act quick and get these FAQs out immediately. The next thing you're going to want to do is proactively communicate with your health authorities. And look for opportunities to communicate proactively with the media and with KOLs. I think those of us in the room here, we work for ethical pharma companies, okay? But we know media will create a narrative if you don't share your own voice. So proactively and be upfront and communicate with the media. So in summary, the rapid response engagement plan, form a cross-functional customer squad, develop FAQs for your frontline and digital channels. Utilize both your frontline and digital channels to communicate the supply situation, and proactively communicate with your HCPs and health authorities. Whew. Oh, Carl, what a relief, right? You can, have a beer. No, not so fast. That's month 1, okay? There's 9 more months for Carl and his team to go. So how is Carl going to stay engaged and keep HCPs informed and not just let those relationships go by the wayside? Well, he's going to need to develop a long-term engagement strategy using non-promotional content. I'll flip to this study that so many of us love to refer to, the EPG Health study, about the types of content that HCPs want to see. And I can't read it right here, but I don't see anything that says shoving product down the throat all the time is ranking very highly here. Sorry, bad joke. HCPs, they want to see treatment guidelines, okay? They want patient cases. They want medical education. They want disease information. So if I haven't made my point clear enough, I feel that we as an industry need to get comfortable with the fact that non-promotional content is the door opener to building trust and strengthening and growing relationships with HCPs. So how do we do that? Here's a couple of examples of non-promotional content. Talking about the imagery here, it's the imagery in the middle is a patient case tool developed by my wonderful Swedish colleagues here, Ilva and Helena. So this patient case tool quizzes, informs, and helps HCPs gain knowledge on the best way to treat people living with diabetes. The examples on the outside are from my Danish colleague, Jens and Anna and Susie and their team, who have done a tremendous job keeping HCPs educated with a medical education newsletter that's been very well received in the Danish market. Another part of content, non-promotional content that I want to touch on real quick is reputational content and why it's important. You know, a lot of us work for, as I said, very ethical pharmaceutical companies. We don't work for the companies that are on those Netflix documentaries. The medicines that we produce and that we put out into the world, they affect people's lives. They change people's lives. They give them health. And we should be humbly proud of that. And we should speak at that when it's appropriate. So you should infuse showcasing your company culture, your company's legacy. For example, Novo Nordisk, we're celebrating our 100-year legacy at helping people living with diabetes. Our commitments to sustainability and diversity and inclusion, and for those of you who think that HCPs might not be interested in that, I think if you can do it in the right channels, studies have shown that 60 to 70% of them actually care that pharmaceutical companies do have these type of programs in development. So what do, right? So you need to use these kind of stronger backbones, such as patient case tools or a really good newsletter to keep HCPs informed and engaged during this time. And then use other building blocks of non-promotional content and reputational content to build some sort of engagement journey over this 10-month period. And I'm just going to go over here so I can see. I'm just going to walk you through this hypothetically. You know, this started, again, in the rapid response plan. So we've coached our reps on how to handle this situation. That started then with the face-to-face visit during the stock out, supplying existing patient support materials and how they can help at this time. That rep was then coached to talk about the medical education newsletter, in which case that HCP had consented to receive. So you can see the backbone of this example is the medical education newsletter, but it also could be replaced with any sort of high-value, non-promotional content or ecosystem, as others have mentioned during this summit. So one HCP receives the medical education newsletter, and in that newsletter, there's a small CTA to an accredited medical education course that's offered. And I said a small CTA. That's not the point of the newsletter, okay? So think small. That then triggers that HCP on a longer medical education learning journey with us. A couple months later, another HCP, you can't see this pointer, enrolls and clicks in the newsletter on the patient case tool, which is another form of keeping them informed and educated and increasing their knowledge on how to treat certain disease areas. While all of that is going on, we're still in a supply situation, so I just want to talk about the peripheral here. We've had GMs speaking at local events, face-to-face, being present in a time when you might want to actually run and hide away. We've had webinars with top KOLs on our disease areas. And then thankfully, we've actually sent out some positive emails updating on the supply situation and maybe even some increased manufacturing capabilities. So I hope that this can illustrate to Carl, and others what to do over the long term in a situation like this. But I guess I would not be doing my job at a CX conference if I did not quickly address ways to measure and to get that pulse during times of limited supply. So, very obviously you can start with campaign and web analytics. Are they opening the newsletter? Are they clicking the CTA to go into the medical education content? How's the content performing? On your HCP portal, are they reading about your supply situation? What's the scroll depth on the newsletter? How are they interacting in the patient case tool, etc.? Your frontline. I said to mobilize them way early on in that process. I suggest if you're in an urgent situation, you take a weekly, monthly, and then quarterly approach to this. So you meet with those reps once a week and then build it out from there. What kind of feedback were they getting? Has it gone from the oh shit moment, we're out of stock, to okay, HCPs understand that this is a difficult situation, we're giving them different treatment pathways, etc., to maybe 6 months from now really understanding like, hey, I know you as an MSL or as a rep are doing all that you can in this situation. We really appreciate you keeping us informed, etc. Obviously, if you have the luxury of holding a focus group, I would highly suggest that as well. And then we can go back to a classic NPS score if you can baseline that at the moment you get into a situation like this, and then measure that throughout your stock out or limited supply situation, or any other sort of maybe reputational survey that you can conduct during this time. That's going to help you understand if you're making the right impact or not. So, my hope is, Carl, I think there he is. He's in the audience over there. My hope is that Carl has taken my advice, that he's utilized the rapid response engagement plan, and then paired that with a long-term engagement plan using non-promotional content. And that at the end of the day, in what has become a very difficult situation, that we leave Carl feeling a little relieved, and more importantly, patients feel supported, and HCPs feel informed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Very nice presentation. Again, I think across presentations today, the nice thing, Dario, is that we have a lot of concrete examples, not just theory and framework. So yeah, nice bigger selection enabling this. I guess playing devil advocate here. So I completely agree with everything you said, and notably, the importance of going beyond product, medical education, adding value, what other industries call content marketing. So yeah, so fully agree. Now, playing devil's advocate, what would you say in a situation, so not a situation of a mature brand or halfway mature brand where there is nothing new to tell, but in a situation where you have a launch brand that maybe is a quite blockbuster potential brand, and you have a lot to tell, but very product specific, and then you have internal stakeholders that tell you, well, yeah, it's all nice, content marketing and all of that, but, we have a lot to say about our product and everybody's actually waiting for it. So how would you counter that?
Okay, but so what is the question exactly then? Like,
So how would you counter that? So the whole theory of, content marketing and the importance of unbranded content, of content that actually solves stakeholder, in this case I'm not talking patients, so prescriber needs.
Sure.
So content marketing versus, vacuum cleaner selling product.
Well, I mean, I guess if I'm understanding your question, so like, if it's a blockbuster drug, which we might or might not have some experience in this right now, I think what's most important is that internally you need to educate the fact that you have to speak about something, and that if you can't be speaking about your blockbuster drug if you don't have any of it to sell, right? So if you know when that's going to become available, you can maybe start talking about how you're going to prepare in that sense. Otherwise, I think you're going to need to look at the therapeutic level and or the disease area and kind of keep HCPs informed from a content marketing perspective. I don't think that there's any other choice. I don't think that it would be responsible to continue to promote the brand in certain markets if you're not able to fulfill those commitments. I don't know if that answered your question or not. Okay.
Hello. Yeah, thanks for your presentation. You triggered me with the slide deck of the market research. Nobody wants to get shoved drugs through their throat. I like the comment. I do think marketing is often creating a need and, more important, responding to a need. So when we look at the banking industry, when people were asked, do you want a digital app? Everybody said no. With the mobile phones, everybody said no. And with this frame you're presenting, how are you safeguarding the customer needs? Because often customers have a need but don't always know what they want. Do you understand my question?
Yes. Now, when you define customer, are you talking the HCP or the patient?
ACP.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think in this case, we do know a little bit what the customer wants. So I think we're working on the data that they're interested in, medical education and medical information. So I think it might more depend on what tool it is that you use to support that. So whether it's a newsletter or the patient case tool that I exemplified. But I would think initially what you could do is just ask. So if you have the opportunity to kind of litmus test the way that you're going to engage with these HCPs during this time of having no product to promote. Hey, we're thinking of doing a medical education newsletter. We know you're really busy for time, blah, blah, blah. Is that something that would work for you? So I think you could use readily data that's available on what HCPs prefer, and then litmus test it with some individuals in the field that have strong relationships with HCPs or top KOLs.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much.